Jack, you get a shot at these two guys. It's your forum right now.
Thank you. I think that right now the United States is spending all its financial capital and all its moral capital and getting nothing much in return for it. I think we're throwing away all the money and all the treasure and all the goodwill that America's earned over the 200-some years of the Republic. I think part of the reason is that the political culture in this country has been inbred with this good cop, bad cop game between the Democrats and the Republicans, and it's time to throw the bums out and elect a few libertarians. I'm one of them that's running for office. I think that would be a lot of the solution. I have a specific solution to one of the financial conundrums that you offered to me.
I'm listening because I haven't heard any specific solutions yet.
Libertarians who we believe in free enterprise, and a lot of us are pretty crusty financial conservatives, and we recognize Social Security as kind of a Ponzi scheme. You always have to have more recruits. It's based on eternal growth. You have to have more recruits. I see a bunch of recruits coming north from Mexico, Congressman, and I think that they should all be allowed into this country, allowed to work on a guest worker permit, and we should collect their Social Security taxes, and they're going to finance your and my retirement.
Yeah, well, if they had, of course, jobs that paid, if they came in with skills that did command a certain level of pay, you may have a point. Of course, they don't. They come in with very low skills, therefore very low wages. They don't pay enough into Social Security. I mean, they don't pay enough into the tax system to begin with so that we could ever recover the cost for the infrastructure that we have to prepare for them. And if you want to talk about the fact that real wages are down, yes, they are. And they're down for one reason, well, several. But one is, of course, you have massive immigration, low-skilled, low-wage people. That does have an effect on wages.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Terry.
When you've been out campaigning in the 6th District, and we've talked about several issues already, but what have you found your constituents are most concerned about?
Start with Jack.
I think that they're mostly concerned about their personal finances. That's number one. Second, after that, they're concerned about the war. I've met many people who believe we went over there for good reasons. I've met many young returning veterans who feel they did a good job, and I would certainly agree with that. But almost everyone, including the veterans, I think feel they were misled by their political leaders and that a big mistake has been made in invading Iraq, or at least in the conduct of it. And then third after that, I think the congressman has been very successful in running around the country and stirring up a lot of anxiety about the immigrants.
All right, so personal finances, the war in Iraq, and illegal immigration you see as the three top issues. Bill, what have you heard?
I've heard somewhat different. I think that there's probably 5 that really stand out in not necessarily in order of importance, but I will give you the one that's far and away the one that I hear the most is health care. People are very concerned about health care and how they're going to pay for it. And you go back on that one to the fact that we're the 7th wealthiest congressional district in America, and yet we have a lot of people, believe it or not, who are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's not because they have 2 homes or 15 cars or big screen TVs. It's because of 3 things, really. Number one, many of the employers who were paying all the health care coverage 10 years ago are not doing that anymore. Number 2, the cost of sending their kids to college, because we have a district here that almost overwhelmingly sends their kids to college, and yet all the things that used to help people go to college, like Pell Grants and student loans and student grants, have been cut and cut and cut. And then the third thing is the cost of energy, which includes heating the home as well as putting gas in the car. So health care is a big issue. Education, both in terms of public education and in terms of higher education, how they're going to afford it. Iraq and national security, immigration, and then water is a 5th issue that's very important in this district.
And you're saying in the 6th Congressional District, you're hearing about water as an issue?
Oh, absolutely. Down in Douglas County, there are areas in western Douglas County particularly where home values are predicted to go down by 20 to 25% in the next 10 years if we don't find a source of water for those areas. A lot of those places are on groundwater. The aquifers are starting to dry up. They're more shallow towards the mountains, and so those areas are going to lose their water first, and so we've got to find ways to provide water well, water is a statewide issue, and frankly, it's a regional issue. Because when John McCain came up for a fundraiser a year ago, his first thing he said was, "I'm here to visit my water," which got a laugh, but it's also a very serious issue insofar as every drop of snow and rain that falls on those mountains rolls off both sides and then has to go down and provide water for several states, and on the western side for another country as well. And everybody claims those rights, and we better find a way to make sure we've got enough right here.
All right. I'm just surprised that that's an issue. Tom, as you go around the district, what are the top issues in response to Terry's
I suppose because I have had a relatively high visibility on the issue of illegal immigration, I hear about it a lot whenever I speak. But it is not the exclusive thing. And I am impressed, I'm flattered that our colleague here thinks that the reason why most people in America are upset about illegal immigration is because I have had the ability to stir them up. The fact is,
you rabble-rouser, you.
Yeah, the fact is, they were there, they were upset, and I touched a nerve. That is true, I have. Yes. But it is also true that the issue was there before I got there. It's just that I was the one that sort of brought it forward. But when we talk about, I certainly agree that health care is definitely an issue. Now, here is a good point of disagreement with Bill here, who wants a nationalized health care system. I would really believe, I would focus more on what we can do, I think, right away, and stay away from a nationalized health care system, which I don't believe would be helpful. I think it was P.J. O'Rourke who said something like, if you think the medical system we have now is expensive, just wait until you see how much it costs when it's free. It's provided by the government. But there are some things we can do, including, of course, the expansion of HSAs, the health savings accounts. There are now 40 million. This is a very good way for having people be able to take some money from their, pre-tax dollars from their paycheck, put away in a fund that would allow them to pay for less expensive health care, allow them to then buy catastrophic health care plans, which are also less expensive. There are other ways. Association health care plans. These things we have now passed, I think, 3 or 4 times in the House, allowing small businesses the ability to band together, allow and offer their employees insurance policies that they would be able to obtain at much lower costs than they are presently able to do, because, of course, they don't have the benefit of a large pool of insured. So these things are, I think, doable. They are things that we should proceed to and also a lot of these choices that we need to give people are similar to the choices we have in Congress. If we have health care plans like the one I just said, it is good. I am not for a moment trying to suggest that the Congress doesn't have a sweet deal when it comes to health care. Every year they come in and say, here's all the health care plans you can pick from. The government will have a part of it. It will contribute part of it. You contribute part of it, and you pick from this wide array. It's exactly what we need for a lot of people in this country.
For everyone?
Well, yes, and as a matter of fact, Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts, Mitt Romney, has a plan I think has a lot of merit. And it is mandating health insurance. I mean, if you can mandate car insurance, if you can mandate that you have to have mortgage insurance, why can't you mandate that you have to have health insurance?
I want Bill and Jack to jump in on health insurance, and then I want to go to Charlie for a question.
Well, let me clarify first of all, and I think it might not be a bad idea if we had a rule in Congress that Congress doesn't get anything that the people doesn't get first, including pay raises and health care and all these other things. But the congressman said that I'm in favor of nationalized health care. What I'm in favor of is universal health care. And what that means very simply, is that everybody in America has access to quality, affordable health care. Now, I think that in this debate there are words that get thrown out to try to scare people, like nationalized and socialized and all these other kinds of things that are really straw men, boogeymen set up to distract us from the real debate. The real issue here is that 47 million Americans don't have health care coverage, but they get health care. But they get it in the emergency room, where it costs 2 to 3 times more than if we kept them healthy in the first place. So health care, I think, if we got together and actually put together a system that worked for America, and I'm very encouraged that Senator McCain and Senator Salazar are working together on this across party lines, and that's what I'm talking about, is working together and finding the things that we do agree on to find solutions to them, because I'll tell you what, we're the greatest country that ever existed, and we can find a way to cover every single man, woman, and child in this country, and you know what, to make it cost less than the system we have right now. So that's what I'm in favor of, is working together with people to find a uniquely American system that works. And
what do you think of the Massachusetts plan, which actually is in the process, my understanding, of being implemented?
Yeah, I think it's got some very good points to it. I think we have to wait and see how it actually plays out in reality.
Okay, Jack, what's your take on health care and the comments made by your 2 competitors?